Hello friends, my name is Shubhadeep Das and I am going to teach you chapter variation from class 10 and I am going to do it from the book Ganit Prakash, West Bengal Board of Secondary Education. So I have given a brief introduction or explanation about what is variation and how we relate two or more quantities using variation. Now, after that explanation, I am going to start the chapter variation. So, I am going to solve question number 1. Question number 1 says corresponding values of two variables a and b are, there is a table we can see. If a is 25, b is 10. If a is 30, b is 12, and so on. So we can see a table and two quantities are related. And they are saying if there is any relation of variation between a and b, let us determine it and write the value of variation constant. Okay. So let us first copy the table. So I have copied the table. Now we have to say, or we have to check whether these two quantities are related by variation or not. So the question is, check if a and b are related by variation. So we have to check it. We know when two quantities are directly related, that means if the first quantity increases, the second quantity will also increase, and if the first quantity decreases, the second quantity will also decrease. This type of relation is called direct variation. So we know in a direct variation, if a is directly proportional to b, then we can just say that instead of using the variation sign, we can use an equal to and a constant k and b. We know this, we have discussed this before. So if a and b are directly related, we write a varies as b. That means if a increases, b will also increase. If A decreases, B will also decrease. So if two quantities are directly related, then we can write A equal to K into B. And if I take B to the left side, it becomes A by B equal to K. That means if two quantities are directly related, then the ratio of these two quantities will always be constant. Now come to our question. Here we can see, if we take these values and find their ratio, that means 25 by 10, it becomes 5 by 2. Similarly, if we take these numbers and find their ratios, that means 30 by 12, and we cancel these two numbers by 6, we get 5 by 2. If we write 45 by 18 and cancel the numerator and the denominator by 9, we get 5 by 2. If we take the fourth column and find the ratio of these two numbers, that means 250 by 100, it will also become 5 by 2. So we can see all these ratios are equal. That means A by B, okay, that means A by B for every column is constant. Every column. If I find A is to B for this column, if we find A is to B for this column, and if we find A is to B for this column, so for all these columns A is to B is always constant, and that is 5 by 2. Here it is 5 by 2, here we can see it is 5 by 2, here it is 5 by 2. So all the ratios are equal. So we can say here A by B is a constant. Therefore, A should be directly proportional to B. When the two quantities form a constant ratio every time, those two quantities will always be related by direct variation. So there is a relation of variation between them, and the relation is direct variation. So we can write A and B are related by direct variation. I hope every student understands it. Now we are proceeding to the next question. The next question says, corresponding values of two variables x and y that is given in a table. When x is 18, y becomes 3. When x is 8, y becomes 27/4, and so on. If there is any relation of variation between x and y, let us write it by understanding. Okay. So let us first write the table. Question number 2. Let us first write the table. Okay, so I have copied the table. Now we have to find out if there is any relation or variation between x and y. Find if there is any relation. Find if there is any relation of variation between x and y. So we have to do this question just like the previous question. Now we know if two quantities are inversely related, if two quantities are inversely related, that means if I say A and B are two quantities, I am just giving you an example. If we say A and B are two quantities, two different quantities which are related inversely, so we shall write it like this: A varies as 1 by B. That means if A increases, B will decrease, and if A decreases, B will increase. That means the opposite relation. So when two quantities are inversely related, we write it like this, and we can remove the varies as sign using an equal to and a constant. It can always be done. The varies as sign can be removed and an equal to sign and a constant can be placed. In place of it. So A equal to K into 1 by B. So whenever we remove the varies as sign, an equal to and a constant always comes. So A equal to K into 1 by B. So if we take B to the left side, it becomes A into B equal to constant. When two quantities are inversely related, their product will always be constant. When two different quantities are inversely related, their product is always a constant. So their product is constant. Now we can see the first column, 18, 3. So we should find the product of this. If we find the product of 18 into 3, it becomes 54. Now if we take the second column and find the product of these two numbers, these two corresponding values of x and y, then we get 8 into 27 by 4. So if we cancel this 2, 27 to the 54, so this product is 54 and this product is also 54. Now we have to find out the third column. If we multiply these two corresponding values of x and y, we get 12 into 9 by 2. That means again 54. And if we take this column, 6 into 9, 54. That means product of these two numbers, product of corresponding values of x and y, the product of corresponding values of x and y is same. So these quantities are when the product of the corresponding values of two different quantities becomes a constant, those two quantities are always inversely related. We have discussed it. So we have discussed it here. If two quantities are inversely related, then the product of the corresponding values of these quantities become a constant. So we can say, as all the products are constant, so we can say in the so we can say in the given table, x and y are inversely related. So x and y are inversely related, as the product of corresponding values of x and y as the product of corresponding values of x and y is always constant, x and y must be in a relation of variation in a relation of inverse variation. As the product of corresponding values of x and y is always constant, x and y must be in a relation of inverse variation. Okay, now we are coming to the third question. The third question says a taxi of Bipin uncle travels 14 km path in 25 minutes. Let us calculate by applying theory of variation how much path he will go in 5 hours by driving taxi with the same speed. Okay. Okay, so 14 kilometer is covered in 25 minutes. How much path he will go in 5 hours? This is our question. We have to solve it using variation. Now, if we keep our speed constant, if the speed is constant, distance is directly related to time. That means if we go a larger distance, it will take more time. If we go a shorter distance, it will take less time. So these two quantities are directly related when speed is constant. Now if we remove these various sign, we can say I am representing distance with d. Okay, I am representing distance with d and time with t. So d equal to a constant into t. Now from the first condition we are putting the values of distance and time. So here the distance is 14 kilometers and time is 25 minutes. I am converting time into hours, so it becomes 25 by 60. Okay, So from the first condition we are getting this equation. From here we are solving k. So we are transferring this 5 by 12 into the left side, to the left side. So 14 into 12 by 5. This is the value of k. Now again we are using the same equation for the second condition. So we do not know the distance in this case. So I am writing distance which is not known equal to k. We know the value of k, that is 14 into 12 by 5 into, again we are using this same equation. Okay, d is not known, question mark, k is known, that is 14 into 12 by 5, and t is 5 hours. Now we can solve d. So if we solve it, it gives us 168 kilometer. This should be the answer. If it takes 5 hours, it will go 168 kilometer. I hope you all understand it. Now we are proceeding to our next question, that is question number, this was question number 3 Roman 1. We are proceeding to the question Roman 2. The question says a box of sweets is divided among 24 children of class 1 of our school. They will get 5 sweets each. Okay. 24 children, each of them are getting 5 sweets. Let us calculate by applying theory of variation how many sweets would each get if the number of children is reduced by 4. Okay. Okay. So our question says "24 children each of them are getting 5 sweets. Number of children 24, each of them gets 5 sweets. Now the question is, if the number of children is reduced by 4, that means the number of children becomes 20. How many sweets each children will get in this case? we have to apply the theory of variation to solve it. Okay, let us first assume the number of sweets is fixed. The number of sweets is fixed, and number of children inversely proportional to number of sweets each gets. Why I am saying it? Because if we, as the total number of sweets is fixed, then if we increase the number of children, then each will get lesser number of sweets, and if we reduce the number of children, then each will get higher number of sweets. So if the number of children increases, number of sweets decreases. That is why I have written it inversely proportional. Now from the first condition we can write, okay, before that we have to change this into a mathematical equation. That means we can say number of children, NC, okay, number of children varies as 1 by number of sweets. Now if we remove this varies as sign, we can say NC equal to K into 1 by NS, and in this equation we put, okay, in this equation we are putting the values of NC and NS. When NC, that means number of children, is 24 and number of sweets is 5, then this is equation 1. So putting these values in equation 1, we get and so the value of K becomes 120. This is actually the number of sweets which is constant. Again we are using equation 1, that means NC equal to K into 1 by NS. Now the second condition says if the number of children is 20, then how much sweet will each get. So we are using this condition. So we are using equation number 1 to so we are using equation number 1 for the second condition, where NC is given, that is 20 children, but NS is not given. NS means how many sweets each child gets. So if we put these things in this equation, we get, or NC, which is known, that is 20. K, we have found out the value of K, that is 120. But we do not know the value of NS. So if we take NS to the left side and if we take 20 to the right side, the equation becomes NS equal to 120 by 20, and it becomes 6. So each child will get 6 sweets if total number of children is 20. So this should be our correct answer. Now we should proceed to the next question. That is question number Roman 3 of 3. The question says 50 villagers had taken 18 days to dig a pond. Let us calculate by using theory of variation how many extra persons will be required to dig the pond in 15 days. So here the question says number of people and I am representing it by small n, and days, and I am representing it by small t. So the first statement says 50 people dig a pond in 18 days. And how many extra persons? That means we say X extra person will be needed. X number of extra people will be needed. So now the new number of people becomes 50 people was already there and X more people joins. X more people join. So the new number of people becomes 50 plus X. This X is what? This X is extra persons. And how many days? This number of people will take 15 days to dig that pond. So what is the value of X? We have to find out what is the value of X using variation. I hope you all understand this question. Now we have to think how N and D are related. N and D are inversely related because if number of people increases, they take less time to dig the pond. If the number of people decreases, they take more time to dig the pond. So the relation is inverse, opposite. That is why I am writing N varies as 1 by D. Now if we remove varies as sign, we can write N equal to 1 constant into 1 by D. And we can give it equation number 1. So if we put these values, the first condition in equation 1, that means if we put N equal to 50 and D equal to 18, in equation 1 we get so I am putting the first condition in equation 1. So it becomes 50 equal to K into 1 by 18. So the value of K is 50 into 18. Now if we put the second condition in equation 1, we are putting the second condition, that means this condition, in equation 1. So we get number of people is 50 plus X so we have to write before it, putting X equal to 50 plus X, N equal to 50 plus X, D equal to 15 in equation 1. So we are getting 50 plus X equal to 50 plus X in place of N. K, we know the value of K, that is 50 into 18 into 1 by D, that means 1 by 15. So we have to solve this for X. Now if we solve it, we get 5, 3, 5, 10. If we cancel it, it is 60. So the value of x is 10. So 10 more people should come to join the work to complete the work in 15 days. So the value of x should be 10. This is our required answer. I hope you all understand this problem. Thank you friends for watching. We shall come in another video and we shall discuss rest of our questions. Thank you friends.